Okay, today we are going to talk about and compare the relationship between the independent and dependent variable in a given situation. So first, we are going to remind ourselves what the independent and dependent variables are. First, the independent variable. The independent variable is the variable in a relationship that determines the value of the dependent variable. The dependent variable has its value determined by the independent variable. For example, in an earlier investigation, we had time and distance. Time was the independent variable. Distance was the dependent variable. How much distance we covered was directly dependent upon the amount of time that we traveled. So that would be a time and distance independent dependent variable relationship. Okay, typically in math, the independent variable is on the x-axis. So we are going to write that down. So the independent variable equals the x, and the dependent variable equals the y. Okay, so in a chart, this is our x, and this is our y. Over here, the y is the rental fee, and down here, the number of bikes is our x. All right, so let's get into the investigation a little bit. We've got two different bike shops. We've got bike rental at Rocky's, and we've got Adrian's weekly rental rates for bikes. So Rocky and Adrian. We're going to take a look at their two different weekly rates for renting bikes. The number of bikes that we rent is going to be our independent variable because that is the one that we have the control over and will be changing. The cost of the bikes is going to be what changes depending upon the number of bikes that we rent. At Rocky's, we see that if we start off with a very small amount, 5 bikes, that it equals $400, so that we're roughly paying $80 per bike. And that if we increase that, each time we increase it going up by 5s in their table, that if we hit 50 bikes over here, we're going to be paying $1,200, which is roughly about $24 per bike. So the price per bike actually decreases for the amount that we rent. Looking down here at Adrian's, this is an increase, and if we connected the dots, we'd get a straight line. So it's a steady rate of increase, which means that Adrian's price is the same. No matter how many bikes that we rent, his price will not change, or her price will not change. So, starting off, let's take a look here. How would we determine what bike shop to recommend? So, let's take a look. If we go up here to Rocky's, we know we can use our dependent variable of money. Okay, in this case, $400 would get us 5 bikes at Rocky's. So I know that $400 at Rocky's is going to give me 5 bikes. And at Adrian's, if I come over here to the graph, $400 is going to give me roughly somewhere around, it's going to give me roughly somewhere along the lines of about 12 to 13 bikes. Okay, so we know right now, I'm going to go ahead and label my answers. Based on this dependent variable of $400, that Rocky's would be not the better deal. Okay, Rocky's is too expensive for $400. Too expensive. Okay, for $400. Okay, we could get a better deal. Okay, Adrian's would be the better deal. We'd get better service. We'd get more bikes. Adrian's is the better deal. Okay. However, if we look at another amount, okay, let's say what we could do with 20 bikes, okay? So if I take a look at 20 bikes, okay, 20 bikes. So I'm going to go over here to my 20 on my X and 20 here. Okay, so for 20 bikes at Rockies, I'm going to pay $770. Okay, and at Adrian's, I'm going to come up here and come over, and it's halfway between $400 and $800. So at Adrian's, I'm going to pay $600. So even for 20 bikes, Adrian's is the better deal. So Adrian's is still the better deal. Okay? We still, for 20 bikes, Adrian's would be the better deal. But the distance between the number of bikes that we're getting is getting less and less. And at a certain point, Rockies will actually become the better deal. Okay? Now, we have to determine what that would be. Because up here, as Adrian's prices continue to climb because he's charging the same amount of money per bike, Rockies is actually decreasing because over here at 50 bikes, he's only charging $24 per bike. Okay, Adrian's price is staying the same for the cost of a bike. Okay, so as we continue to move forward down this line of discussion, we need to be cognizant of the relationship between our independent and dependent variable. All right, so continuing on. The first question, question A, asks us to find the cost of renting the bikes from Rocky and Adrian if the tour needs 20, 30, 2, and 40 bikes. So I'm going to start with Rockies. Rockies says, if we go back to the table, 20 bikes cost $770 using his table. So we're going to go back over here, 20 bikes, $770. So we can just fill in that information. Okay, for $40, we go back for the same thing. 40 bikes, $1140. All right, and for 32 bikes, now, here's the problem. 32 bikes comes part of the way between 30 and 35. So we're going to have to do some math. So we'll come back to this one. All right, let's go down to Adrian's for both 20 and 40 bikes. 20, as we found earlier, 20 comes right on the line for $600. So we're going to come back over here to our table. And Adrian's would cost $600 for 20 bikes. Go ahead and put in our dollars and cents for all of these. A dollar sign. Get it proper. Okay. And then do the same thing for 40 bikes. And 40 bikes for Adrian. 40 bikes comes up here and is $1,200. Or $1,200. All right, now, for 32 bikes, okay, we have a couple of different things we can do. For Rockies, we're going to simply subtract the cost for 30 bikes and 35 bikes. Okay, so for Rocky, we're going to subtract the cost for the 2 bikes. Okay, so we have the cost for 35 minus the cost for 30, and we're going to divide that by 5, and then we will add that in to the cost of 30, and that will equal the cost of 32 bikes. For Adrian's, we're going to take 600, divide it by 20, and then multiply that by 32. and that will equal 32 bikes.